Oh, ooh. Is that right? Yeah. Wait, which button is it? All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Norman. I'm here to talk about the following, as you can see on the screen. But before we start, I just wanted to ask, how many people have heard of the word blockchain? Not know, heard. Okay, it's either 20%, 10%, 50%. Yeah? Okay, how many have heard the word cryptocurrency? Well, there's a lot more people who know more about crypto than blockchain. That's very interesting. How many people know the word Bitcoin? This is very interesting. I'm talking about something more trending like Bitcoin, and everyone raises their hands. But as soon as you start talking about the tech, barely anyone knows it. So I'm here to talk about specifically. Can you read that? It's really hard. Blockchain technology, as in the tech itself. And this is very important for students who are interested in thinking more about technological trends, because you want to see if you can apply that to any pursuit that you have later in life, especially when you graduate. So, this talk is about blockchain technology, specifically the history, advantages, disadvantages, and cryptocurrency, its roles, and why is it associated with money in the first place, and how it uses our data and create value from there. And then I'll have a little activity for us to basically test it out on anything that you want to put it to. But I just want to make it clear, this is not about a super technical explanation as to what blockchain is. I'm not going to bore you with 20 terms like proof of stake, proof of work, Ethereum, blockchain, smart contracts, etc. Okay? I'm not going to give you all that. It's useless. You're going to forget it in 2 hours. And I'm not going to recommend coins to buy, because first of all, I'm not provided to, I can't give you financial advice, I'm just a normal person. And I'm not going to talk about scams or money-making schemes, because I'm here to talk about something more neutral, which is tech. It's more absolute and it's more value-creating. So, why the hell should we care? Before we can answer this question, let's just go back a few years. If you are aware of the global financial crisis, in 2009, most of the markets around the world crashed because basically there was a big debacle in the US. A lot of mortgages had resulted in, if I'm right, property with negative equity coming back to the banks. Basically what that means is that it was a cycle of people losing money and banks losing money at the same time. And because the US was such a major influence on the world, all of the markets connected to the US dollar crashed as well. So maybe if you ask your family and friends about what happened during that time, 2008, 2009, some may have suffered as a result. This started to bring up the question of trust, because these are the people who are in charge of our money, but these are also the people who created the crash in the first place. So now there was a chance to look for a method where we don't have to look at banks to trust them with our money. Basically taking away the middleman. So less costs, more control over our own cash, and also less human error. This is when blockchain was invented and implemented by a mysterious, I want to say, entity called Satoshi. We don't know if Satoshi is a man, a woman, a group, if he's even Japanese, or is even from somewhere else. Maybe he's even a robot, but this person is completely anonymous. But Satoshi invented the blockchain technology. His white paper, which is basically a technical doc, which explains the whole thing, is free online for you to read. So I would recommend that you read that in your own time. This is built to combat the disadvantages of having a middleman. And having a middleman means that And taking it away means that you, as a person, have more control over the money in your bank account. This brings up slightly liberal motives, more power to the people, that sort of thing. But I'm not here to talk about politics. And yeah, that's more or less that was the purpose of blockchain. It was to give more power to the people in charge of their own money, because this individual did not trust the banks and financial institutions. So I'm going to explain how the blockchain works, but I don't know if you can see what that is on the screen. That's actually a croissant. So I'm going to use analogies, because it's a lot easier to talk about the blockchain using food. It's really stupid, don't worry. You'll remember, because it's really stupid. So let's say I'm a baker. I'm a baker. I make different kinds of bread. Let's call it croissant, Danish, and garlic bread. And I have recipes for each and every one of them. This is the data that I want to put into the blockchain. Whatever reasons why, I don't know, maybe it's cool, whatever, but the purpose of it is to ensure that all data in the blockchain is relevant and continuous and also connected to each other. Oh, I put baguette, but whoops, wrong bread. Anyway, so each block is connected to each other due to their theme. So depending on what industry that you're interested in, you can't have two different kinds of blocks connecting to each other. They have to be relevant, they have to be on the same platform, they have to be holding the same kind of data. Now, say I have recipes for all of them. These recipes, that's not accurate. So I don't bake, so please forgive me. But let's say that I have recipes for each and every one of them. I want to connect them using the info that I have, which is recipe on making the bread. And I want to protect my recipes because it's very sacred. It's passed down from family, but I don't want people to hack into my database. So what I do is that I create a hash. And a hash is a line or a phrase to describe or to basically represent all the info in this one block. So, for example, for croissant, you can see that the numbers are I just put the first letter of the word with the number, and the hash basically represents that block. So if you read the hash at the bottom, that represents the croissant block. To turn it into a chain, I put a copy of the hash, which represents the block, and put it into the following block after that. This creates a chain where it will ensure that the order of all the blocks do not go out of order. It will always go in this specific order. It is a chain. It is continuous, it is forward, it is absolute. This is the basis for blockchain. You cannot break blocks in between. You cannot edit data within a block. Once it has been put into the block cannot be break open. And this is when you start to have greater integrity, security, and well-being for my bakery. So what are some of the disadvantages of this? One is that this blockchain is a decentralized system. And what that means is, if this entire hall is a bakery, and every single one of your devices is part of the bakery, there's a copy of the entire blockchain on every single device. And this brings up some security advantages, because if there's a fire over here and everyone's laptops die, but then one person still has a copy, that person can recover the entire blockchain and I don't lose any of my data. This is huge, because what that means is, in terms of scalability, 400 people is okay, but what about millions? Millions of people. You have 999,000 people. If they lose all their devices, but you have one guy who can recover the entire blockchain data, that means people can maintain all of their money, all of their data, and depending on the uses, all of their services. So this is extremely important. This also takes into account speed, because I don't need to answer to someone to be part of the blockchain. There's no bank. I don't need to ask permission. I don't need to pay costs to anyone else. The only cost I pay is the actual initial transaction putting into the next block. And because the blockchain is a chain, it cannot roll back. I cannot undo. I cannot go back and edit somebody else's block. I cannot do that. Now, that last line is a bit, I should say, actually a bit inaccurate. Actually, it is possible, but it's extremely difficult. So one of the disadvantages is that, one, it's hard to recover your coins if you make a mistake. The purpose of blockchain was so that the third party, the bank, does not make a mistake for you. If someone inputs the wrong account number, you're trying to send money to somebody else, if they send the wrong number, you just lose your money, right? By having less human interaction within the blockchain, you minimize human error. But if you are the one who make the error, good luck. So that's one thing to take note of. So if you basically type the address wrong, you lose your money. The second point is 51% majority attack, and what that means is if you want to edit blocks in the blockchain, you can, but you need a majority vote. You need enough power to overwhelm everyone else's power so that you can edit their data directly. So let's take this as an example, 50-50. If everyone here wants to edit someone's block, and everyone here doesn't want their data to be tampered with, because what if someone makes a mistake, but then two guys in the front are like, yeah, we want to change them, we want to edit the data. Then you start exposing them. They can overwhelm your data and can actually edit ownership of data according to the person. This is the 51% attack. The reason why I say this is difficult is because when you start talking about scale, once again, we're talking millions of PCs. And it's kind of hard to generate the same power as a ton of PCs. So it ends up becoming more expensive. You might as well just be part of the blockchain if you want to earn money, or use their services. Regardless of this, hacks can also happen. There are a few cases, particularly in Japan. I don't know why they should up their security, but that's a different story. And the point that I mentioned about liberal motives, the point of it was power to the people, but there are issues with having it completely open. If the whole world can use your blockchain, there's an issue with it growing too fast, and that means it will be too hit powerfully by influences around the world. One person can have a lot of money in the blockchain, and if all these smaller, lower capital people contribute, and this person pulls out, the entire price just drops. Because you have more power to the people, there is more power to an individual to actually just pull out the blockchain. The person next to you can actually ruin your day if you guys are contributing to the same blockchain, because if that person has more money than you do in the blockchain, they have more power than you in that blockchain. I'm just using the word money just for simplification. It's not just money, it's also data, and also ownership. So what about closed systems? What about systems where you have a decentralized system, but it's controlled by a company who owns that system? That sounds great, right? But it sounds well, not exactly. It sounds very similar to a financial institution who is trying to control the amount of growth and going against sort of the liberal motives that the blockchain system initially had. You can talk about making it a